morning, everyone. So we are going to discuss about living in a big city or in a rural area. So we are going to tell something on your preferable place that you want to live. Okay? For me, I like to live in a rural area because people there living in rural areas benefit from a reduced cost of living because properties in rural locations being more affordable than in similar sized properties in urban areas. Another one is food in rural areas are cheaper than in cities. Okay? So any reaction?
Does anyone have any different ideas, or do you agree with her? What about you?
Absolutely yes. Lorna, you made a good point, but I also like to add more point. There are a lot more healthy food in rural areas than in cities because there are very good sources of organic food. Plants and animals are growing in nature.
Can you say that again? Animals. Nature. Very good, very good. Okay, and how about you, Benny?
I quite agree with you two with some points, but in my opinion, I don't prefer living in rural area because infrastructure and public facilities in rural areas are not as well developed as in urban areas. Many roads in rural areas are rough and not good for traveling. People living in rural areas have less access to electricity and water supply systems.
Wow, very good. What do you think, Lorna?
Yeah, I agree with you, Benny. But living in a big city, I think there is much more noise in that places than in rural areas. Living in rural areas is more peaceful because we can listen to the pleasant sounds of nature, which is different from the noise and chaos in urban societies.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Okay, you right up into the point, Lorna. I quite agree with you. I also prefer living in rural areas. Okay, let's hear from the rest of the group. What do you think about that most?
I quite agree with you, Lorna and Bo, but I prefer living in a city because living in a city or urban area is comfortable and convenient because of good infrastructure and public facilities. People living in cities have access to electricity, water supply system, transportation, and public healthcare systems.
Wow, very good.
Amin and Scott, we haven't heard from you on this point. What are your opinions on that?
Thank you. I think you are absolutely right. I totally agree with you. I also prefer living in city because there are more job opportunities in the big city than the countryside. In a big city, there are many organizations and companies hiring people to work for them.
Wow, very good.
How about you, Scott? What do you think?
To be honest, I couldn't agree more. I also prefer living in a city because there are many shopping centers and interesting places to visit, such as monuments, museums, historical and cultural heritage sites.
Very good, Scott.
I like to say something here. Every year, cities attract many people from around the world, so we can meet new people from different cultures and traditions.
Traditions. Very good. You were right up to the point. So, because we have limited time for group discussion today, so we will continue next time. But in a nutshell, living in city, in rural areas have both advantages and disadvantages, right? It just depends on the purpose and opinions of life. So for me, I sometimes prefer living in rural areas, but sometimes I prefer living in big cities. So we are going to continue discussing this point in the next class. Thank you very much for your active participation, everyone. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, well done. Okay.